And good morning. Welcome into Morning Drive. It's Monday, July the 31st, the year 2017. This is Studio AP Damanak alongside a three-time PGA Tour winner and Chris DeMarco and a three-time National Player of the Year from Duke, Amanda Blumenhurst.
Oh,
good
yeah.
morning. How are you? Welcome back.
Great. Thank you.
How you been? How was your Sunday?
It was awesome. I loved coming back here to Orlando. Flew from Arizona with the entire crew. Have two boys, my husband and my mom. So a tight hotel. They better be asleep.
You got some babysitting help though.
Yes.
You're going to need it this
Lots
week,
of hands.
How about you, bud? Did you watch some golf yesterday?
I did. I watched some golf. It was exciting. Watching Bernard Langer go again, it's just unbelievable. He's just like the Energizer Bunny. He just keeps coming and coming.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Energizer Bunnies, there's a lot of news right now in the game of golf happening now. How about a world number 4, Rory McIlroy, reportedly split with his caddy, J.P. Fitzgerald, after a 9-year relationship, meaning Rory will have a new caddy this week on the bag at the WGC Bridgestone Invitational. He has not won a tournament since that was the Tour Championship and the FedEx Cup in September. Of course, finished tied for 4th at the Open at Royal Berkeley, but missed 3 of 4 cuts before that. Chris DeMarco, they did start off very well back in 2011, that first major championship at Congressional.
Yeah, I think he won by a few.
8?
8 shots is usually pretty good. Yeah, that's what a great win that was, obviously, to get the first one off.
Absolutely. And in 2012, he became the #1 player in the world, Amanda, with this win at the Honda Classic.
A very young-looking Rory and the excited fist pump, the household name, just getting it started.
Absolutely. And Tiger Woods put a scare into that tournament as well that week. Now we turn to the 2012 PGA Championship. He likes to win majors by big margins.
Yeah, this is another one, and this is where we thought, man, maybe he's going to be a lot like Tiger. He doesn't just win majors; he wins by touchdowns.
Absolutely.
And it was pretty exciting stuff there too.
Another 8-shot win, absolutely dominant with the driver. Now the Ryder Cup. Missed his alarm clock, Amanda, but still got there in time to beat Keegan Bradley in singles and help celebrate with Europe.
Yeah, maybe miss more alarm clocks because he played such great golf and way to celebrate with his team.
Absolutely. And then, of course, later in the year, the DP World Tour Championship, he birdied his final 5 holes, Chris DeMarco.
Yeah, this one looks pretty good right here. I mean, you know, when he's on, it's great. It's good to see him hugging JP, obviously not anymore.
Yeah, you know, a lot of change in the air. Of course, Phil Mickelson and Jim Bones Mackay ended a 25-year relationship earlier this year. Now, how about Hoylake, the 2014 Open? He loved being announced as the champion golfer of the year, Amanda.
When you always have a tap-in for a win, that's always a good day, and raising that trophy.
Yeah, and the 3rd of 4 major championships. Now the 4th title, this one at Valhalla.
I just remember the dark. I remember him hitting almost into the group in front of him so he could get that tee ball off at the end there, and for him to win 2 majors. In between there, WGC championship also, so 3 wins in a row at that time. We were like, ooh, here he comes.
Great duel holding off the likes of Phil Mickelson and Ricky Fowler and getting major number 4 for Rory. And then we showed this a little bit earlier, Amanda. This, of course, the Tour Championship, the FedEx Cup win, and it had been a tough season for him. He really closed out in style.
He did, and it's always great when you can see a player who has had such success early on come back and have a resurgence and win like we know he knows how to win.
Absolutely. And of course, earlier this year, just a couple of weeks ago, that 146th Open at Royal Berkeley, he'd missed 3 of 4 cuts going into the event, and in the first round, he'd really been struggling, and his caddy, J.P. Fitzgerald, gave him a stern talking to, saying, hey, listen, Rory, remember who you are. So he was 5 over through his first 6 holes, but ended up finishing tied for 4th. A very good showing, but not enough, apparently, to keep this relationship going, Chris DeMarco. We know that change happens in the game. Players and caddies split all the time, but what stands out to you about this separation?
For me, it's the timing. Because, again, all we did was hear great sound from him just 2 weeks ago about how great JP actually got him through this and how, you know, he attributed what he did there and gave him accolades. And then all of a sudden, the news of this is kind of surprising to me.
How about you, Amanda? What do you see here? Is there a bigger story here?
There is so much turnover. I know on the LPGA Tour there's such turnover between players and caddies, and I'm sure it's very similar to the men's tour. And this is getting such a spotlight because of their long-term relationship and who Rory is. But I would not be surprised. I bet this was amicable because they had such a great relationship. I know you know that you spend more time with your caddy than you do with your significant other. So there is such a relationship there, and to really kind of hit a refresh button, you know, they've been for both the JP and for Rory, being able to say, you know what, let's get a fresh start. You go on a new bag, and I'm going to have a new caddy, and let's see, finish up the season and get it kick-started. And I think this could be a great thing for both of them, for both JP, because he's going to get a great player. He's such a great caddy. And then Rory is going to have a new face on the bag.
Have you found yourself, Chris or Amanda, in a similar position where you're not playing the great golf, you're not making putts, and you're not going to change clubs again and again? You're going to make a different change.
Yeah, you get a little stagnant, and what happens is, unfortunately, you start resenting the person carrying your golf bag. Not to their fault at all, just the fact that if you're not playing your best golf, you don't want to blame yourself as a player. We're way too pompous to think that it's something other than, it can't be us, it's got to be something else. So usually the caddy's the one that falls the most, and you want that change. That change is good sometimes, but it also, you look at it and you go, wow, is it something that I definitely want to do? And you really have to be sure yourself to do it. I'm sure that they've talked, like Amanda said, I'm sure that it's been amicable, but definitely a change is probably needed. I mean, he's been pretty stagnant here for a little bit, and who knows who's he going to have? Bones, maybe? Who knows?
Ooh, better ask Tommy Roy. I imagine the NBC producer. What do you see for Rory? Is this going to be a spark that he needs? He plays this week. He plays, of course, in the PGA Quail Hollow, where he already has 2 wins on the PGA Tour, rounds of 61 and 62. Do you see this as a positive for him?
I definitely see this as a positive. He might have to spend a little bit more time training a caddy, because then that person is really going to need to know his game, what maybe his strengths, weaknesses are at a personal level. I mean, we know what Rory on a big scale, but little idiosyncrasies, like what does he like to be told, or does he like to look at the scoreboard, or does he not like to look at the scoreboard? Little things that are more behind the scenes. So there's going to be some training there that you have to do with a new caddy, but I really do like this change. I think this is the restart button that he needs.
We'll find out who he has on the bag this week in Akron at WGC Bridgestone Invitational. Also happening now, yes, Johnny Vegas goes back-to-back at Glen Abbey, winning the RBC Canadian Open in a playoff over Charlie Hoffman. He birdied that par 5 18th hole to get it done. His 3rd PGA Tour win for the 32-year-old man from Venezuela. It was really a lot of tension on that back 9. Charlie Hoffman, in fact, had an eagle putt, Chris DeMarco, to win the tournament in regulation.
Yeah, we saw Robert Garrigus make the same putt. We saw Jason Day a couple years ago make this putt and just catches the right edge, just misses, but a great birdie to get into that playoff.
Gosh, Charlie Hoffman has been playing so well this year. Now has 6 top 10s in the 2017 season. Here's Johnny Vegas. Now, this was a bit of a fortunate kick, I would call, off the bunker, Amanda.
Sometimes you have to have a couple lucky bounces to pull off a win. You have to obviously be skilled, but also have to have a little lady luck on your side. And definitely hitting that lip and having it clear the water and go there, it was lady luck a little bit.
Ended up in a good spot for him to attempt to make this eagle chip here, Chris DeMarco.
Yeah, this is a beautiful shot. And he had something similar to this in regulation and learned from it. It's a beautiful shot, just to 6-7 inches, which is a nice tap in for the win.
You don't see many pros hit bad shots consecutively. He obviously learned something from his mistake, and now, Amanda, he needs this to have the match, as it were.
Takes out the pin because he knows he needs it. Caddy does a little knee bend and just misses it.
Sneaks by the left side. Johnny Vegas, a winner once again, and obviously thinking about making that International President's Cup team. Says he desperately wants to play for Nick Price. You see it right there. Final round 65 for Johnny Vegas. Last year, it was a 64 in getting it done. You see Ian Poulter continuing to play well. What an incredible spring and summer he's had after getting his PGA Tour privileges back. Runner-up finish at the Players' Championship. Played very well over in Europe as well. How about watch and learn, Chris DeMarco? You want to take a walk?
Sure. All right, let's walk over.
Learn from these guys, because we saw a lot of similar short game shots for the best players in the world at the RBC Canadian Open. The 18th being really always the stage and the setting for this great tournament. We saw Andres Gonzalez in a spot of bother, and this was a very difficult shot.
It is. Obviously, he's got to cover a lot of this green right here. He's got to take a big swing. He's in a position, too, where he's like 155th, 156th on the FedEx Cup. So this is a big shot for him. If he gets this up and down, it's going to move him way up in the standings. If we roll this, you can see he takes a big swing, obviously catches a little bit thin and flies it in the water. Ends up making a double bogey, which we hate to see, but still has a great finish, tied for 10th.
You have so many options around the greens. It's interesting. Sometimes you can flop it, sometimes you can chip it. Here's Johnny Vegas. This is in regulation.
This is a regulation. You can see, again, he's a little bit closer to the fringe. It is downhill from there.
Right.
So you got to make sure you get it on the green and give yourself a putt at it. Obviously, you'd like to get this ball past the hole, so you're putting back uphill. So he does everything right here, just lands it a little bit too far, and it runs out on him. So if we roll this, you see, it just goes a little bit, comes out a little hot. and it runs by, almost catches the pin, and he runs it by a good 7, 8, 10 feet. And, you know, obviously this is now to win. You can see how fast that was going down there.
A poor shot, though, for a high-level pro, no?
Pressure shot, very pressure shot. Ball sitting, you can see the grain running against. He's coming this way, so it's a tough shot to get any kind of spin on it other than forward roll. So tough shot, but he had to get that on the green and give himself a chance.
All right. Would you have done anything different there?
I would have done the exact same thing he did. I would have made sure I got it on the green and give myself a putt at it. And then you can see here now, this is in the playoff.
Right.
He's further to the right, has more green to work with, able to land that ball just barely on the green and rolls it up perfect. Obviously learned from his mistake, but was also fortunate with a little bit better lie.
Yeah.
The ball wasn't so close to the edge and pin high. It was a little bit short of pin high, so he had more green to work with and was able to use that green and hit a beautiful chip to just a couple inches.
Great shot. Always something to learn from the best players in the world. Right now, let's say good morning to Bailey Mosier. How are you, Bailey?
Good morning, Damon. I'm doing well. I had a great Saturday. I don't know about you. I went to the grocery store, took a nap, but it wasn't as good as this guy, Bernard Langer. Also happening now, Langer won a record 10th senior major championship on Sunday in Wales. It was a 1/72 in that final round at Royal Porthcawl, but that was still good enough for a 3-shot victory over Corey Pavin. Langer is dominating that senior circuit. He's won 5 of the last 10 senior majors. As we look at some of his accomplishments in his PGA Tour Champions career, unbelievable. 200 events, 33 wins, 143 top 10s. No slowing Bernard Langer, 59 years old. So we're actually going to have more coming up later in the show on his accomplishments and whether or not anything or anyone can stop him from catching Hale Irwin's total PGA Tour Champions victories. Damon, back over to you.
All right, Bailey. Also happening now, Mi-Hyang Lee wins the Ladies Scottish Open. It was her second LPGA win, and it came on the strength of a final round 66. She was trailing by 9 shots through 36 holes, by 6 shots going into the final round, able to get it done. Webb, who was trying to win for the 42nd time on the LPGA Tour, she doubled the 17th hole after driving into one of those pot bunkers. Amanda, some highlights. This for birdie from Mi-Hyang Lee on 18.
She just had the whole week struggled at the beginning, and I love it. She came back, makes that beautiful birdie putt.
Now here's Kari Webb. This is her second shot into the 18th. She needs a birdie.
And she's looking for that 42nd LPGA win. What just an absolute player, consistent player, but she hits it into the screenside bunker and hits it close, nestles it in there, but needs an eagle.
Absolutely. I misspoke. She needed an eagle there. Actually did not know whether she needed an eagle or a birdie. She left it about 8 feet short, ends up having that putt. But she thought she wasn't sure that she needed an eagle or a birdie. You see that scoreboard there. It's showing different signage, different advertising, but she did not know where she stood. Eventually, she makes the birdie putt, not enough to catch Mi-Hyang Lee, who wins for the second time on the LPGA Tour. You see that final round 66 for that one-shot win over MJ Hur and Kari Webb. But it's interesting, guys, no fixed scoreboard on that 18th hole. We're traditionally, we're used to seeing scoreboards on the PGA Tour, the LPGA Tour, but that scoreboard was a video scoreboard, so it showed stats and advertisement, and occasionally would show the leaderboard. Is that a strange situation in your mind?
It is. Usually you see even the manual numbers that are being taken out,
right,
if not in electronic, and they had that huge jumbotron, so I'm actually very surprised that they did not have the leaderboard. We found out that you can, I did not know this, I mean, it's not surprising, but you can ask a walking rules official, or you can ask your scorekeeper, even the TV crew, who's leading, or what needs to be done. Do I need to make this for eagle? Honestly, though, for me, I never would have asked. I wasn't a huge leaderboard watcher, and if there wasn't one on 18, I would have just stuck to my game plan and played the best that I could. But Webb, she said that she didn't know that she needed to eagle that hole because the jumbotron wasn't showing where she was at.
Don't you have to know, though, on 18? I mean, at that point, she knows she's in contention. She bogeyed 16 and she double bogeyed 17. So there's a little bit of a gray area there. I would want to know.
Yeah, I mean, playing the 18th hole for sure, I'd want to know. Early in the round, I'm like Amanda. I don't necessarily need to see the leaderboard every time I'm, playing every hole. But when I get down near the stretch, I definitely want to know, especially when I get in the 18th hole. If I have a 3-shot lead, I want to go, okay, you have a 3-shot lead, maybe let's hit an iron off this tee. Or if we need an eagle, I need my caddy to say, listen, we need an eagle here. So now we play it aggressively. I certainly would like to have seen her know that. I think maybe she might have played that second shot even a bit more aggressively into that green, thinking that bunker shot wasn't that difficult, thinking maybe only a birdie would have got her into a tie. if she would have known she needed eagle, she might have taken a little bit further right and give herself a chance.
Yeah, I was following Jane Crafter on Twitter during the tournament. She said that Kari Webb is one of the finest bunker players that the LPGA has ever seen. You have to think, man, if she had known she needed a 3, that ball might have ended up closer than 8 feet.
I love the bunker. I actually sometimes even aimed, and if you know Kari Webb, she's such a great bunker player. She probably was aiming for that bunker, and knowing that she is such a phenomenal bunker player, that she could eagle or at least get her birdie and walk away.
Didn't get the win, but some good momentum perhaps for the Ricoh Women's British Open, which begins on Thursday. We send it back to Bailey. Tee-sheet time.
Indeed, Damon, thank you. Yes, as you just mentioned, the women, they are making their way from Dundonald Links to Kingsbarns for this week's Ricoh Women's British Open starts on Thursday. That includes Michelle Wie. She's having a solid year already, and Wie looks to claim her 2nd major title. So we're going to take a closer look at her swing and where she gets her power from. Some advice for you to incorporate into your own swing as well. And while we are looking ahead to the action on all the tours this week, we're also wrapping up the stellar play that happened around the world of golf this past weekend. So if you missed any of it, we have your back. We have the weekend's must-see moments coming your way in just moments. And it's hard to believe it's already almost August tomorrow and that the FedEx Cup playoffs, they are fast approaching. The Bubble Boys now, they have 3 more weeks to get inside that top 125 and make the playoffs. So who are these players and how much pressure are they facing? More on that is coming up. So that's all what's coming up, we know, in the show this morning, but not everything's set in stone yet. We want you to be a part of our show today. So get on social media, use the hashtag MDGameBall, send us who you think deserves a shout out from this past week. You can't choose the winner, but somebody else who did something great from this past week in golf that you want to highlight, and we'll show your responses on air as well as give our own game balls. All right, Damon, over to you.
All right, but how about a shout out for one Bernhard Langer? 10 senior majors?
But you can't give him the game ball.
10, not a game ball, but a shout out. Shout out, right?
Shout out.
Shout out?
I like it.
What's a shout out? What do you do when you shout out?
I say, go Duke! That's my shout out.